So, the video you're about to watch had the original title of Behind the Kit. What I then found out after I released the first episode of this series with Dave, which you can check out in the description, is that I actually was informed that there was already a podcast in the series called Behind the Kit. And so, to sum this little short clip up here, this will be retitled to The Drummer's Throne from now on. Now, this video, you'll hear me refer to the series as Behind the Kit. That's just down to the fact that I recorded this quite a while ago and it's only out now. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you look forward to the next episode of The Drummer's Throne. What's up guys, and welcome to this brand new series that I'm releasing called Behind the Kit. The idea is that we talk to some really cool drummers and we talk about life behind the kit, as the title it says basically. And
Nice.
Today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, a great teacher. We've had Skype lessons together, we've had drum camps together,
Yeah.
Mr. Michalkow.
Hello, everybody.
Mike, thanks for
How you doing, buddy?
doing
Thank you.
this.
Thank you for
thanks.
asking me to do this. I'm really honored. Really honored. Yeah.
You're a friend, so
Yes.
I thought it'd be a good time to do this.
Let's rock it. This is
we
great.
just to let everyone know, we're here currently at a Drumeo VIP camp.
Mhm.
If you guys don't know what those are, there'll be a link to those down in the description so you can check those out. You come out, you get taught by people like Mike here who they do a phenomenal job here and I would heavily recommend coming out. So let's start ahead. Yeah?
Sure. Yeah.
So first of all, what got you started in playing drums?
The long story or the short one? The long one, shortened, is 5 years old. Parents bought me a toy drum set, and I apparently destroyed it within 6 months. Drums, when I used to watch the Muppets, and literally Animal would just pound drums. So 5 years old, what do you do?
Mhm.
Monkey see, monkey do. And I destroyed them. And they went, oh, I'm not going to buy you drums if you're going to destroy them. That should have been a sign. It wasn't a sign. It was like, okay, oh, this kid's going to wreck the drums, forget that. So 12 years later, 17, I'm in grade 11, and I'm trying to find who I am as a teenager. You know, I was a half-pipe skateboarder, wannabe punk rocker, and I started hanging out with musicians because I was listening to all kinds of really cool music at the time, like hard rock, metalcore stuff. And the skaters that I was hanging with were like musicians on the side. And I'm like, well, wait a second, I don't really fit into this category because I don't play an instrument, but I've always wanted to play the drums. So long story short, you know, I get together with some guys and they're like, you know, hey, we should jam. I have a friend that has a drum set, but he never uses it. And of course I go there and I'm terrible. But whatever. But then it was just like, you know what, I want to do this. This seems like a lot of fun.
You'd find
And then
it
I'd
all
sign
right.
up for lessons, but you know, oddly enough, I had a cousin that was working at a music store, and I didn't even know that. And I remember my mom calling her up saying, "Do they offer drum lessons at this store?" Because you know, Mike's interested in drum lessons. And I was a really pretty shy kid when I was younger. So she said, "Well, sign up for lessons." And I was like, I'm nervous, but I wanted to do it. So then when I got signed up for lessons, when I was sitting behind a drum set with a teacher, someone who could actually play the instrument, that's kind of when I got roped into it and said, that's it. And so it kind of started for me at 17, even though I knew all through my youth I probably wanted to play drums because I was in an air band. I was in an air band in grade 10, and I wanted to be the drummer. Of course, I'm playing with my left hand and don't know what a hi-hat is. I'm just doing this through the whole thing. But you could tell that I wanted to hit stuff and make music. So that's kind of how that started. But I just fell in love with it at the age of 17, and everything changed for me.
And
So.
you said you had lessons straight away. Then
Yeah.
there was no time when you were self-taught,
No,
or
never.
everything being lessons?
Well, I didn't know what self-taught meant. Like I said, go back to the air drumming. If I knew what I'm doing, I mean, this to me was drumming. So I didn't know that the hi-hat was here and the ride cymbal was here. So this is before the internet. This is before any kind of real educational videos. You'd have to buy VHS tapes of the greats. But I don't have a job. I'm 17. I don't have money to go buy $70 VHS tapes to watch Dave Weckl and Dennis Chambers. I did that later, but I needed someone who gave me some guidance. So I didn't know how to self-teach myself. I self-taught myself how to ride dirt bikes and how to race. I didn't have teachers doing that kind of stuff, or
but not
skate.
for
I mean, you're watching Tony Hawk on video and you're learning how to skate and you're just trying it. With drums, I didn't know how to try it because to me it seemed like it was such a high level of something you would achieve in life that I felt like, well, anybody can go buy a skateboard,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason, not anybody can be a musician. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was funny, and I would say that because these friends of mine who were skateboarders, I was the best skateboarder out of them all. So if you guys see this, that's the truth. I don't even see those people anymore. But all of a sudden, I saw them playing bass and guitar and singing, and I'm like, mind blown.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are gods to me. I need to be able to do that. And even if it's poorly, I need to fight for it. And I didn't. So you could have given me a drum set. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
I don't know what to do with it.
And so, I mean, you've mentioned like the other skaters and the other friends. I mean, clearly they were quite influential in bringing you into drumming.
Yeah.
But within drumming itself,
Yeah.
what were your main, when you were starting growing up with drums,
Yeah.
what were your main influences in terms of bands and drummers, whether they are separate or together?
At the time, no drummers. I didn't know who a drummer was.
Okay.
But I was listening to bands like Suicidal Tendencies and Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, like hard rock, hardcore sort of skate music, you know. The music from the Powell Peralta videos, like, you know, Bones Brigade, anybody out there that knows what that is. It was all these cool bands like The Faction and all these types of bands, and I don't know, it was just, so it was just do this, you know, and now I'm like, oh, I can do that, so I take that into my teacher saying, can you teach me this? And he's kind of looking at me like, hey man, it's your dime, you can do what you want. And like, da. But then I kind of got bored of that because I thought it's kind of like running on the spot for a long time. And then I went and saw him play, my old teacher Norm St. Hilaire from Winnipeg, and he's grooving and playing funk and opening the hi-hat and I'm like, dude, that's not. So I'm like, okay, let's put that stuff over here. I'll still listen to it, you know. But
it took a back seat for you.
Yeah, and that was like, and I'm learning how to play funk. Well, he's introducing me to funk bands, like Tower Power and blues bands and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and now I'm learning more about music rather than just exciting music. You know what I'm saying? Because to me that was exciting music. I put it back on and it takes me back to my youth. But I had fun with that stuff, you know. It was great. But then, you know, I was learning how to play songs, and then, you know, I had bands like bands had all, because I had met different friends in grade 12. Kind of got out of skateboarding halfway through grade 12 and was working a job where you'd meet different people that had different influences, and now I'm listening to bands like The Cult. Guns N' Roses had just released Appetite for Destruction at that time, so it's like, whoa, this is all different. This is no longer ga, and it's no longer ga. It's like,
yeah, you were starting to like discover a lot more music.
Yeah, I was. So my musical expansion was huge at that time, from everywhere, from the punk rock stuff to blues to funk to contemporary pop and anything that was on the radio or on MTV, right? MTV for everyone knows what that is. And I was just watching and learning, and I was so hungry that anything that came on, I wanted. You know what I mean? It was almost like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I need to do that. And I was a little greedy in a sense, thinking, am I going to be able to pull this off? Because I want a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, I ended up having 2 teachers at one time, you know, and then another teacher, Mitch Dorridge, who played with the Crash Test Dummies out of Winnipeg, said, oh man, we got to get you listening to Jack DeJohnette and Vinnie Colaiuta and Dave Weckl. That's a whole new world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole new world, man. So now I'm a fusion nut, listening to jazz and listening to Jack DeJohnette and Max Roach and Tony Williams. I'm like, okay, my head's going to explode. And then Peter Erskine comes to town with his band. And my teacher says, hey, we're going to go see Peter Erskine. Well, what the heck's this now? And ding, 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 ding. I'm like, okay, so now I'm like, where do we go?
Yeah.
So the nice thing was I kind of planted a seed in a bunch of different gardens. That's why I love so many different styles of music. To this day, I don't play as many styles as I used to because the bands that I'm playing with are more limited in what they're doing. But I wanted to do everything. And then when I had one teacher, I said, you know, I want to do everything. He's like, you just opened up a pretty big gate, a pretty big door. And I said, hey, I got my whole life. I'm going to learn until the day I die. So that's kind of where it all kind of, in a nutshell. That's the short version.
So you've mentioned your teachers a couple of times.
Yeah.
So were they the people that drew you to then teaching, or what was it that then inside you went, okay, I actually want to teach drummers? Because teaching's not for everyone. I mean,
no,
you know, for
it's
people
not.
watching,
It's not.
You don't have to be a teacher, you don't have to be a gigger, you can be either or both. And also, just quickly, in case you can hear, Pat Petrillo is currently in the studio recording, so he might be interrupting us.
I'm trying to do an interview here.
Yeah, sorry, what drew you to teaching then?
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I remember I had a neighbor, because I was learning, and there was a neighbor, a kid that, you know, they went and bought, a Yugoslavian family lived next door to us, and they were super nice people, and they'd always hear me, like kind of like what we're hearing right now with Pat. So the kid would come and knock on the door, hey, can I come watch you play drums? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm not very good. So I remember the mom coming over one day and saying, will you teach my son? And I'm thinking, what, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, he just wants to learn what you can do. And I'm like, well, yeah, I could probably teach him that. Oh, we'll pay you $10. You'll pay me $10 to show you how to do this? So long story shorter, once again, I'm over at the kid's house showing him some stuff, and he's getting it, but the biggest thing was the reward. It wasn't the money, it was the smile.
Yeah.
And the joy that the people were getting. And I'm like, wow. And it was like, oh, right, you're going to pay me? You don't have to do that. And a lot of times I just say, no, I just, maybe, if I'm out of town with a friend or whatever, just cut my mom's grass or something like that, do that for me. Still living at home. But it was the joy. And then I had like one other student, a friend of a friend said, hey, you teach? And I drove across the whole entire city to go teach this kid for $10. And when I said kid, I was 18, and this kid might have been 14. But once again, it's like, and I was nervous about it because I don't know anything about teaching. I've never taught anybody anything in my life. You teach them some skateboard tricks, but it's the hang. It's the brotherhood of skateboarding at that time. So hey man, check out my kickflip ollie, backside blunt, or whatever. And it's like it's a cool thing, but that's not teaching. That's sharing. Yeah. But then I realized I'm just going to share my ideas with these kids. And they said, oh, can we do 2 lessons a week? I'm like, you're that excited? And there was a motivational factor. And then I didn't teach for a long time because I played and I traveled around the country with bands. And then I went to university to study music. And I remember there was this lady that said, oh, do you teach drums? Because she heard me practicing. And I'm like, I think so. I don't know. And I went over to her house to teach her kid. And once again, I was back in that position of inspiring somebody and not realizing that I was doing it. It was just kind of like, yeah, sure, because I like to help people. It's just in my nature, I guess, being a Pisces. I like to help people and I like to be friendly as best as I can. And it was the reward of, thank you, Mike, thank you. And I'm like, man. So once again, I went away and I traveled and I did all this stuff. And then one day I just said, I'm going to try this teaching thing. It was probably like 1996, I'm going to guess, 95 maybe, quite a few years ago, over 20 years ago, and I got this job teaching, and there's 55 students like at this school. I'm like, holy smokes! So now I'm in it. It wasn't one kid or 2 kids. It was 55 people, ranged from 10 to 48, whatever it was, and most of them were very motivational, and they were. I was motivational to them, but they were motivated to practice. I was having fun, and then there were some that were like, no, I don't want to practice, and that didn't discourage me. Because I realized the ratio of who wants to do it was a lot higher than who didn't want to do it. So I didn't get bummed out by the fact that people didn't want to practice or could care less about the drums. I was more focusing on the serious students, And not that I wasn't focusing on the other ones, it wasn't bringing me down. So when I hear teachers out there say, oh, I don't want to teach because kids don't want to practice. You know what? If they're having a good time with you and enjoying the time together, I don't know, just have some fun. Don't worry about opening up a drum book and saying we got to work on the first 3 pages of syncopation or whatever it is. Just play. Just play the hi-hat, show them different sounds in the hi-hat. And I started doing that and realizing that that's what happened. And then, so it kind of branched from there. Because I went from big schools that had 55 students to small music stores that had only 30 students. And then when I opened up my business in the year 2000, I started off with 5 students, and then by Christmas I had 45 people signed up. Okay. It was word of mouth, and it was me really pushing myself in advertising. But I loved it. It's a part of me. It's not like, oh, I'm going to teach because there's not enough gigs. Well, I can go out and get tons of gigs, but it's sort of that. It's a part of what I love to do. Yeah. Well, the world needs drum teachers. We do. If I didn't have those people who taught me, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They're both players, but if they didn't teach, I might have had somebody who wasn't motivational, who would have discouraged me. Because I did sports that coaches discouraged you. My brother thinks that I could have been an NHL hockey player. I was a very good hockey player as a kid, but I had a coach that was awful, and I quit. Could you imagine? So you gotta have, and I thought, if I'm gonna teach, I want to make sure that I'm motivational, and that's there's so many drummer teachers like that I've had. Dom Famularo, I mentioned him all the time. Jim Chapin. These were people that upped my game in the teaching side of things, but also the people side of things. Yeah. Because if you can't work with people, you can't motivate them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my philosophy. So yeah.
So continuing on with the teaching thing. Because obviously now you're quite involved with Drumeo. So how did the whole, you going from teaching on your own, how did you then come into contact with Drumeo, which at the time was free drum lessons still, or had they moved on to Drumeo?
No, it was free drum lessons. I mean, Jared was a student of mine, briefly, and people think that I taught him from day one. No, he had several teachers. I was one of his teachers. He would tell you more about what I taught him than I would. I don't remember. I remember some of the Latin stuff and some of the jazz stuff, maybe some independence, and he would tell you how long. I think it was 5 months. He says it was longer. I'll believe him. And I remember one day he called me up and said, "Hey, we're going to film a video." And we did free drum lessons. I remember that. That seems so long ago. I almost forgot we did that. And there was a series of drummers in town. There was some buddies of mine, Lionel Duperon, and of course Dave Atkinson at the time. He was a kid at that time, right? Myself and a few other local players. That let's go do this. Why not? It's exposure. The interweb is a new thing. And let's see where that goes. And I'm thinking, sure. And I said, the first thing I said, well, I can't give all my lessons away because this is what I do for a living, so I can't give you my curriculum because I'm going to go out of business. But so I saw it grow, and we did so that's when Jared said, let's do this Muller method secrets video, because I'd studied with Jim and I studied with Dom and I studied with all these pipe band guys. And I said, I don't know if I'm the guy for that. He goes, no, you're the guy for that. And I thought we'd sell like 40 copies or something like that. Cool, I got 40 drummers that have my video. And he's like, hey man, we just sold 250 copies today. I'm like, what? This is awesome, man. So that kind of grew. And of course it was all DVDs. I mean, you can look into that and see which DVDs there were up until the drumming system, which was 2008, I'm guessing, maybe almost 10 years ago. And then when they talked about Drumeo becoming a thing, they pitched the idea. I was on the phone with Jared a lot and with Dave and some other people that aren't here anymore that we talked, and say, hey, let's try this. We're going to try to do these weekly lessons. And they had drumming system live. You remember that? Yeah, I don't think it was like one lesson a week. It was me, Dave, and Jared, I believe.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, though.
I honestly don't recall that because there's lots of things that I've done that on such a higher level with Drumeo that I look back and go, oh yeah. It's almost like a gig that I did at some little two-horse town that was amazing, but I just kind of went, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So someone reminded me about that not too long ago, and I went, oh, that's amazing. I remember that now. And then they're like, oh, we're going to go to 2 days a week. Then we're going to try 3, and we need more teachers. Do you know any guys locally? And I said, well, we got Jay Dakeman, we got Issa Contractor, we got all these, we got Gary Grace, we got all these great drummers in town. Call them up. And it was slowly building. And hats off to everybody here at Drumeo, because starting off from square nothing to a nobody like me, to where they are now, looking around and see the posters of Peter Erskine and John Blackwell and all these great drummers that have been here. I'd never thought in a million years that I'd be associated with the world's top players, working with them, being on the same website as them. We're hanging out at the Drumeo booth at NAMM, and Thomas Lang walks up, hey, what's up? And I'm going, this is so cool. It's stuff like that happens, and it's the community of the members, and all of a sudden you got members and people signing up, and it was members that had the videos. So people are like, oh my gosh, I have all your DVDs. And to me that was surreal, because, dude, I was a skateboarder that started playing drums at 17, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I haven't done anything that's been world changing, or life changing. So it's been pretty spectacular. But it's built, and then this is our 4th year now of doing the VIP drum camps. Met you 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And the people that come here, they become friends. They become lifelong friends. It's amazing. Great drummers, all different levels, all different ages, and I love it. I look forward to each year. The summer to me is like I drop everything I'm doing. I clear my calendar. Hey, Mike, wait, no, sorry, I can't do that. We got Drumeo VIP week. These are and I blocked them off, and I said to Dave, I'll be there for every single every 4 of them. So.
Well, I mean, I must say that you do. I mean, you do a phenomenal job at the VIP camps. I mean, this is my third time here now. And I mean, you have really helped my drumming, go forward in leaps and bounds.
Cool.
And, we've had Skype lessons and stuff, and I can't put across to you guys, how much I do recommend Mikey. He's a great teacher, and anyone out there looking for a teacher, this is the guy.
And I'm always taking students, so please don't, even though my schedule gets busy, it can always be busier. I want to be busy, that's the thing. I've had people say, oh, you're too busy. No, I'm never too busy. Too busy is when I can't sleep. I'm still sleeping 8 hours a night, it's all good. But I make time for everybody, whether it's a one-off lesson. I've got students that do Skype. I mean, I teach at a school out in Langley, and it's one-on-ones, and I've got 39 one-on-ones there over 2 days. So I go pretty hard 2 days.
Yeah, that's a long day.
But then Wednesday's my Skype day, Thursday mornings can be Skype, and then I've got things with my kids in the evenings, and and then it could be a gig day, or I might need a day off. Like I don't work 7 days a week. I haven't worked 7 days a week.
I mean, no, you're human.
20 years.
Like you said, you've got a family to consider. And stuff
Nobody
like
wants
that,
to work 7 days a week.
No, exactly.
And why am I? I mean, musicians are lazy. No, we're not lazy. We just want to work hours.
Yeah, we have different ways of working.
Because it's funny, I tell people, well, I only work on average 4 days a week. What? Well, yeah, but I do a 12-hour day here, and I do it. It's like shift work. When you think people do shift work, they do 12 hours a day and then do 4. I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. So to me, it's like I could have up times and then medium times. You never want to have a low time. No students and no gigs, because then how do you eat? How do you eat? You can't eat. So I'm always available. Sometimes it takes a while to coordinate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anybody. But when someone says, sorry, I'm way too busy, then you just know that you're probably... So I'm just putting it out there that I'll never too busy. And if it means you want to take a lesson with me in the next 2 years, let's do it in the next 2 years, from the second you see this video. But yeah, that's kind of where it all went, man, and that's what I'm doing. So.
Okay, so we just talked about Drumeo and everything, VIP camps. Now, one of probably your biggest Drumeo projects you did was the drumming system.
Yes, yeah.
What was the main thought and process behind the drum system? Like, how did it come? Where did the concept come from? And how did it all come to be, in a sense?
I remember Jared, I think we went for lunch. He didn't call me, he emailed me, said, let's go for lunch. I have a proposal for you. And we sat down, and he says, I want to create the biggest drum training program on the planet. So what does that mean? He goes, 20 DVDs, 15 CDs, play-along CDs, and 5 books. And I looked at him like, are you mad? But in a good way. I'm like, are you serious? And he goes, can you do that? And you know what I said? Yep. I didn't think about it. I said, yep. We'll figure it out. We'll somehow make it happen. And between he and I, we came together with all the material that I had from books that I was writing. And it's really funny because at the time I was writing a book for Alfred called The Total Rock Drummer. Mm-hmm. And funny story is that book came out the day we started filming the drumming system.
Really?
But I didn't want them to counteract each other. So I had to make sure that The Total Rock Drummer by Alfred Publishing, just a plug for my book, it's still available in music stores and on Amazon and wherever else.
Check it out.
Good book, good book for teaching and for getting you through life.
There'll be a link in the description for you guys to check out, don't worry.
Nice. And I didn't want the two books to counteract or overlap. And the way Jared and I talked about the drumming system, it was going to be an encyclopedia of drumming. It wasn't like A to Z, like his successful drumming course ended up being. It was, I want to learn how to play funk. I want to learn about the rudiments.
Yeah, you could pick and
I
choose
want to learn how to play blues. I want to learn how to play double bass. So you could literally pick and choose. And I don't watch my own videos. I don't know. It's just, if I was an actor, it'd be terrible because I could never watch my own movies. When people say, "Hey, what did you do on that video?" Then I have to go back and watch it. And say, "Oh man, I don't know what I did on that video." And some of the performance stuff is fun to watch to see how you can learn from it. But as far as the teaching side of it, I don't want to hear myself talk.
Yeah.
I hear myself talk all the time, and it annoys me.
I mean, I can speak for myself when I say that what you just said about picking and choosing is totally correct about this. For example, I was trying to learn some jazz stuff, and I literally took the section that was jazz. And I was like, okay. Learn these, and these. And I just, I went through the jazz section, went through play-alongs and stuff. And it's great because you can dip in and out of the different sections, whatever it requires of what you require of it.
Yeah, and that was sort of the whole premise of that too. It's like an introduction to jazz with some color and some flavor. And then if people were serious about it, because the year prior we had filmed the Latin drumming system and the jazz, which were more intensely focused on that style. So if you tasted jazz and you liked it, now I can, for less money of course, you could go buy the jazz drumming system and get the full meal deal, which it either can get you prepped for that jazz gig or to a point where you can teach some stuff to younger students, Same thing with Latin. There was a flavor of Latin in the drumming system. There was probably a handful of beats. And then in the Latin drumming system, I broke down all the real contemporary, usable, get a gig at the hotel, cruise ship, local Latin band thing and understand the rhythms in the Latin drumming system. So I think that really was good because they sort of worked with one another. And people would say, "Oh man, I bought your drumming system." Then I went and bought your jazz drumming system. I said, "Wow." It's rare that I hear someone say, "Well, I bought your jazz drumming system," and then I went and checked out your jazz in the drumming system, because it's a real introductory lessons in there for that. But yeah, that's kind of where that whole thing went. You know, it was amazing, and the filming of that was spectacular. Had some great musicians play on that, and we had fun. It was a few 14-hour days. By the end of it,
it was all worth it.
Oh, dude, I never ever complain about my job. You know, like people ask me here if I can just change topic real quick. Like at the end of the day, you guys are all burnt out. Like a couple nights ago, I finished doing like a 9-hour, 10-hour day here. Then I went and taught for another 3 hours in school I teach at. Then I went out and I hung out with some friends, and people are like, "Man, how do you do that?" I am done. I'm like, I love my job.
Yeah.
I love playing drums. It's the passion that drives me, and if it keeps me going until I'm 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, great. You know, because I don't get bummed out about stuff in my job. You know, there's disappointments. You know, oh, the gig was canceled, or this, you know, the money isn't what it was said, or you missed a plane or something like that. That happens in life to regular people. But yeah, I can't let it get you down. You know, like if someone says, "Okay, I was bummed when you were late, man. Like they said your plane was delayed." I'm like, "Oh man, what?" And it didn't ruin my week, but I was like, "Oh man, I wish Ellie was here." And then Ellie shows up. I'm like, "Yay, bro, what's going on?" You know, and it's like I'm sort of re-energized at that point again because everybody's here. Like I see the list of who's coming. And here I knew everybody this week because you're all returning students, and I knew your personalities, I knew your history and your drumming history, I knew some of your personal lives, you know. And then sometimes when I see the new students that come out, I'm excited to get to know them. You know,
it's a new experience.
Oh, it's a whole new experience because I've been doing these types of camps for 15 years, you know, other than Drumeo, and I love doing drum camps. So if anybody else is looking to hire me for a drum camp, hey man, I'm available. There's another plug. But I used to do these all over the States, you know, and all over Canada, and it's I love it. It's inspiring. Working with Pat, I learn from the teachers too. So I become a student at these things as well because I don't know everything. I'll never know everything. I always want to learn. Then I'm watching the other instructors. Then Ali gets up and helps us out, and he's playing something, and you can see we pushed you today, right? But that's how you learn. You get pushed. And then I'm like, "Oh, dude, he did this thing." And then he shows me this. Check out this song, look at this song. I'm like, "Dude, you're 15, 16, man, I gotta go back and learn how to do that. I don't remember how to do that. I used to do that 10 years ago." And it's inspiring, because I walk out here going, "Man, I gotta go practice." I gotta go practice the drums, you know? But it's exciting to me, because I come here to teach, and I want to go home and play. Like tomorrow night I have this great gig, and Issa Contractor's going to be on bass, and I'm so stoked, man. Tonight I gotta go home, prep my drums, tune them, clean the cymbals, get everything organized, throw them in the truck. Tomorrow come here for a couple hours, drive out, take a ferry over to Vancouver Island, do a gig. You know, and to me it's like, are you kidding me? There's nothing I'd rather be doing. So, yeah, no complaints, man.
So, I mean, the first one is, what is your favorite song or groove from a song, if that makes sense? Because I know, you know, huge, big grooves, or 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, those kind of grooves, you know. It's a hard question.
How long is this video? If there was one song that I could play every day, it would be Squib Cakes by Tower Power.
Oh, that's a great song. Great song.
I don't know what it is. I don't play it the way Garibaldi plays it, and I never will. But it's so much fun to try. Yeah, I mean the 50 Ways thing, but I don't know. Rosanna by Toto, Hold the Line, like anything by Jeff Porcaro. There's lots of, but if it was one, it would be Squib Cakes by Tower Power.
Do you have a favorite, you know, snare sound or drum sound that you've ever heard on track? I know these are two, like, you know, I'm having to make you think now, but you know, it's just interesting hearing these kind of things.
Boy, my snare sound changes all the time. Drum sound, I own a Yamaha Phoenix.
Okay.
So that's like saying, like, what's your favorite car?
McLaren P1.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? When you have that, there's no other favorite. You have other sounds. Like I have other drum sets. I have my recording custom from the 1990s, but they're very different sounding drum sets.
Yeah.
If there's one drum kit, like you got to get all your drums, you keep one. It's my Yamaha Phoenix, of course.
Yeah.
Snare sounds I'm constantly changing because right now I've got 12 different snare drums. I just bought two new ones. The recording custom series, the aluminum 6.5. And the brass, which I'm using tomorrow night with the Supernatural,
Oh,
the brass
is
5.5.
beautiful. The brass
and we want that real snappy kind of sound, so I haven't used that snare live yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I bought them because they're two night and day. An aluminum snare, which I've never had before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's up with that, but that seems to be a sound that I'm kind of going, it's so awesome. But my taste changes. It's like anything. It's like wine.
Oh no, I mean, we always progress. But
Yeah.
sorry, that was more for at the moment. But
Yeah. So, but lately, as of late, my recording and my real big live thing is the Phoenix drums. So look up Yamaha Phoenix. I can't explain what that is. There's all kinds of exotic woods, and an aluminum or a brass snare drum.
Okay.
Which I was a wood snare guy for years, but that changes. It's not gonna stay that way. So ask me next year, and it'll be a whole different thing. But the Phoenix drums will probably pretty much be the sound that I'm always going for. Yeah.
So, 2 more questions.
Yeah.
First of all, what are your goals for the future, whether that is the near future or the far future?
My immediate goal is to get my right foot like Larnell Lewis. Okay, Larnell is a friend of mine who plays with Snarky
That
Puppy.
is a huge goal.
And but you know what's an achievable goal.
Oh, I know it is,
Because,
but
you know,
I mean, I'm sure there are many drummers watching that have heard Snarky, and I mean...
But, you know, Larnell is not only a beautiful human being, he's a beautiful player. And I think it's something that I needed to be doing for a long time. So right foot, and it's just for my own personal, okay? Always working with better musicians and trying to really get my reading, my snare drum playing, like really be able to open up a crazy snare drum book and just read it and make it sound musical in 3 passes.
Okay.
To me, that's huge. It's nothing like trying to learn the hardest song in the world. That's I don't do that anymore. I learn songs for the bands I play with or for the people that hire me, or because I get thrown 20, 30 songs a month to learn for gigs or recording sessions or for whatever, rehearsals or for session stuff. So I don't have time to say, yeah, I'm going to learn this 18-minute Dream Theater song, which I used to love to do. I can't do that right now. But right now, the reading stuff and the right foot.
Okay.
And the hands.
And the last thing, and it's kind of a question, but it's also just, I would like you to do this for the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
What, if you're watching this and you're thinking about being a musician or a teacher, and I mean both of them,
Yeah.
what do you think the people should be trying to do, you know, to improve their qualities and their skills? What are important traits for a musician and a teacher?
Well, I mean, a musician, figure out what you want. I mean, I think that was the biggest thing for me is I didn't know quite the player that I wanted to be, and I think people sort of look at me like, Mike can do anything. Well, I wish Mike could do anything. I think I can fake a lot. Let's call it that. I can't do anything. I can't sit in with the Buddy Rich Big Band and convince people that I'm the guy that can do that. I could fake it really well. So you got to narrow it down to say, okay, well, here's what I want to be. I want to be this kind of a player with some branches. Okay, so as far as a musician goes, what's important? What kind of gigs are you looking for? Are you looking for to go to LA or New York and be a session guy? Well, if you are, you better have your styles, your groove, and your reading down pretty good.
Okay.
If you're just looking to be a cover band bar drummer, then make sure you learn tons of covers. Play in the pocket. Always show up on time, which means early. In my mind. Be cool. Like, dude, nobody wants to hang out with someone who's egotistical and me. Those people drive me insane. I can't hang with those people, probably because I've known so many, you know, and you're just kind of going, yeah, I need to go. But be cool, be an easy hang, be easy to work with, be very flexible, super flexible. Last thing I did, I forget what it was, I was doing something, and someone said, oh man, we only have this drum set with this. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, no problem. You sure? Yeah, I'll make it work. Oh, dude, wow, last guy we had here, he was a pain. Don't be a pain, be cool, be easy to work with. But also on the other hand, don't try too hard. Don't be one of these guys.
Yeah.
Because one of these guys can get really annoying. And then it's like, oh, there's that guy that does this all the time. Like, make relationships with friends and with people, but don't, I hate to say it, like butt kiss kind of thing.
Yeah.
Show, if you're trying to get involved with great musicians or endorsements, and I talk about this on my YouTube channel too, about the professionalism of how to get endorsements. Build a relationship. If you're a man trying to meet a woman, don't be creepy.
Yeah.
If you're a woman trying to meet a man, don't be creepy. If you're a drummer or a musician trying to meet the industry people, don't be creepy. Sorry, that's the best way that I could narrow it down into childhood language. You know what I mean? Just be cool. Let people know what you have to offer. You know, and be patient. You gotta have patience. There's no Think about it. I mean, I think about the steps that I took to get where I was. Dude, it took me 12 years to get into the industry, but I wasn't planning on it. It just, there was people I was meeting, and there was, you know, Jared and this and that guy and this guy from Sabian, and then eventually this person from Feisty, and you just be cool, do your thing, and don't be over. How can I say it? Don't kind of have an opinion that's only your opinion. I think, you know, like be open minded. You know, Dom Famulero says it great. He says your mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. You know, and open your mind to a lot of things. You know, and I quote my greatest teachers. You know, because you learn from that stuff, and that's really going to help you. You know, and I people all the time, hey Mike, give me the number of this guy so you can get an endorsement, and I give them the number, and they can't sell themselves. Oh, I screwed up. What should I do? You should have asked me that before you phoned them, because they didn't sell themselves properly, or it was like, oh, I'm really great, give me some free symbols. You can't do that, because that's creepy. I hate to say it that way. That's the word I'm going to use. It's creepy. Don't be creepy. So if that answers your question, that's what I would say. So.
Well, I mean, thank you, Mike, obviously, for doing this. You know,
this is great.
As I said, I mean, I think you've given me a lot of information. I hope you've given everyone there a lot of information.
Fabulous,
guys, you've got to check out Mike, whether it's on Drumeo, whether it's on his YouTube channel, Facebook,
I'm
Instagram.
on Facebook, Instagram. I think that's all. I'm on LinkedIn, but yeah. I don't. What did you talk about today? Snapchat. I'm not on that. I don't know what that is yet, but maybe someday.
All of Mike's links will be in the description. If
Awesome.
you guys need to see any more of him, which I highly recommend, get in contact with Mike if you want lessons as well.
Please.
And
we'll have fun.
Again, Mike, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And
it's an honor to know you.
we'll see you guys in the next video then.
Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Happy drumming.